Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. I'm here today to talk about budgeting for travel. It's summer 2023 is what we're looking at. It's time now to think about flying and credit cards and all this stuff. So I have Katie with us, who's now part of Upgrade to Extraordinary, her new website. And you've been doing points and miles, I know, for a while. Whenever I think about points and miles, I think about you, Katie. So share with us a little bit about, gosh, I don't even know where to start. Some tips for travelers looking to use credit cards and maybe some current ones that might be out there that people might be looking at for collecting miles.
Sure. Well, my beginning was 10 years ago. I got two credit cards with 50,000 point mile sign up bonuses for each of them. And the whole goal was to have four round trip tickets to visit my new nephew. Um, and that's how I started, and it has really taken off from there because once you realize how much you can get and what a difference it makes on the basically the level you can travel at,
Yeah,
because it's like everybody's got a budget. Is how much you can get out of the budget. And that really, really extends it because, the airfare is usually the single most expensive thing that you pay for. So,
right. Yeah,
um,
exactly.
so the key with the credit card game is the sign up bonuses. There will end up being a few that are really good at, worth keeping. You'll probably find like three that are worth keeping. Best in the same family. Okay, how you pick your cards,
Yes, thank
depending on
you.
where you live. Yes. uh, First of all, if you live a little bit remotely, as I do at the moment, but I haven't always, just for 3 years, I don't I don't think I get Delta. If I do, they just started. Um, I don't get Southwest. I don't get any of the cheapo airlines. There's one that does a trip to Vegas. But that's about it. Like when I say cheapo, I mean like Spirit, Frontier, Allegiant. There are a whole bunch of them like that.
Yeah,
And but it's always nice to have them at your airport because it puts price pressure on any routes that they do. Um, anyway, you want to make sure that you're going to get points that you can use on the airlines you have access to. In fact, hopefully you already know that part. Like, oh, I really like to fly United or whatever you like to do.
yeah, that actually makes sense. Look at what routes they fly or how many choices you have maybe from your
Mhm.
closest airport.
So in addition to the direct cards that what do they call them, loyalty cards or whatever, co-branded, that's the word. In addition to the co-branded cards that you get for those airlines, you also they've got those. There are three, there are probably four or five, but there are three that are major, only two that are really good, and um, where you get points that you can then transfer, or they have a cash value.
Oh, nice.
So I am a big fan of the Chase cards. They have an ultimate rewards program. Um, American Express has membership rewards. That's like the other best one. Um, but quite honestly, these can be, you should just pick one and work on it because I'm really good at math. I'm really good at keeping this stuff straight. I only do one major program now. Um, in addition to a bunch of foreign airlines, I can transfer them to Southwest and uh, United directly, or I can use them for, depending on what other cards you have in your assortment. I get 1.5 cent value for each point, which is really, really good. If you don't have that particular card, you're going to get 1 or 1.25 cents.
Mm.
In other words, 10,000 points can either be $100, 125, or $150 worth of travel. Um, Let me see. So if you are more into American Airlines, and don't I don't think anybody transfers to Delta.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything.
Not directly. What you can do is try to find some other partner that they're with. Like, I'm I have no problem with Delta. I've just never lived in a convenient area for them to be a good deal. Also, when I did, they were famous for not having any availability for rewards flights.
Oh,
But the whole system of how much or how many miles or points it takes to get something has changed in the last few years. It used to be 25,000 miles, and I think this was standard across all the
yeah.
airlines, one way domestic US flight.
Yep.
And you might get the bargain ones, if they had a few extra for half that.
Right.
And so you shop around, you try to get your round trip flight for 25,000 instead of one way.
Right.
And I did that a lot. That's why I knew that if I had 100,000 points, miles, I would get 4 trips to, oh, it was one of the best routes to use those miles for because
Yeah.
my sister lives in Aspen and they charge you through the nose to fly there, like 8 out of 12 months a year. Um, anyway, where was I?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, you said
They've
how,
changed to
yeah.
dynamic pricing.
Yes, talk a little bit about that because I don't think now, I think we'd be hard pressed to find somebody giving you a ticket for 25,000 miles. I'm guessing, unless it's
Yeah.
maybe a off route or off day, I'm not sure.
Well, now that we're all like post-pandemic, but there are a few things that are really kind of interesting that have come up. Um, they were doing this thing where you could have refundable flights for any
Right.
reason. You could change it or refund it for credit or whatever. And of course, they've all pulled back on that, even though it's like, I think United said, oh, it's free forever, but it's like, but not on the cheapest ticket.
Yes.
They're
Uh-huh.
basic. Yeah, so there's that. However, when you book with miles, within their program, not like the transfer, well, the points if you transfer them, but not if you buy the flight with points having a cash value. So if you use their own currency, um, and I think they're all like this. Certainly American and United, we all know Southwest is awesome about
Right.
changing your mind up to what, 10 minutes beforehand or
Yeah,
something.
it's amazing.
Yeah. Um, and what I found is if you're, depending on how far you're going, now I've been looking at a lot of international flights. So there's like this point around 6 months beforehand that
Hmm.
can be excellent. But then there's this big chunk of time where you're not going to get a good deal,
Yeah.
at least not using the miles. I mean, I guess, prices, actual paying money can be a little different because they all have sales and things like that. But then when you get within that last month, in fact, for domestic flights, it's usually within the last 2 weeks before the flight.
Hmm.
That's when you see the big drop in how much it would cost you in miles. So those are like the two key times to be looking to spend your miles. I I booked I'm going to Japan next month and I booked the flight several months ago. I think I did it in
Okay.
December or January. Yeah, actually, I think it was right after Christmas. And I got the flights, United, really good times, not this, hey, it's going to take you 43 hours to get there.
Right, right.
Yeah, because you might see those on sale for 40,000 miles instead of they want, I mean, I was just looking the other day, 100,000 miles each way for that flight.
Oh
We're
my
not talking
goodness.
first class. We're talking way in the back,
Right.
like seat 56J.
Yeah.
So, so, um, I'd gotten it for 35,000 miles with the best itinerary that United offers.
Wow.
So no big layover, one connection, which again, coming from a regional airport, I was prepared to do two, but I really don't want to do three. And that's
Right.
often the case. Um, so like I'm in Western Colorado. So I fly to Denver and then direct to Tokyo.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
great.
And um, So that ends up working out really well. So 70,000 miles round trip economy to Japan, because for some reason they want like 200,000 miles each way for first or business.
Wow. Wow. That is
If
crazy.
you convert it, if you compare it to how much you would spend with actual money, it is a deal. But I did a route like that, Beijing to New York.
Mm-hmm.
That was 10 years ago. Actually, it was one of my, I think it was, I've only flown first class a couple of times, and that was the first time. And it was 70,000 miles first class, and it was awesome.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't know how good this is.
Yeah. So that's a good
But
question that they should people travelers should start planning or booking. I mean, summer, we're already like it's now April. So if they're, you might want to choose the tactic of being flexible and looking at the last couple weeks before you want to go, I suppose.
yes, the other thing is, and I have found this pattern works for business, and with the exception of like 2020 and 2021, those first 2 weeks of summer, in
Uh-huh.
other words, around July 4th,
Right.
and then just before Labor Day, are expensive.
Yeah.
Like, not just the high season, it's the highest high season.
Yeah.
So be flexible on that. Definitely be flexible on that. I'm flying to Morocco. I have a tour that starts on September 11th. Sorry, I'm from New York. So, um, and that, I'm working on the flights for that. But right now, paying with money as opposed to miles is actually a really good deal right now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, not from here, but the friend I'm traveling with is in Florida, and there's some great flights. But anyway, because it's after and just barely after Labor Day, I mean, we're probably going to
Okay.
fly on like the 7th or something.
Right.
Um, so if you definitely want to travel this summer, but you're going to end up waiting until closer to the time to book it, just like avoid the July 4th area and right before Labor Day. I used to think all schools had the same calendar around the country, but
No, that's not
but
true.
it's not even just about the schools. I've noticed it even with people who don't have kids. They seem to want to do that beginning and end of summer.
Yeah.
They want it's like to drag out the summer, which is I get it, but
Right. Right.
it yeah, if you don't have your arrangements in place by now, you're you, it helps to be flexible.
Right.
Now, the good thing is if you don't have arrangements yet and you're not going to make arrangements for like say 2 months, this is a great time to get sign up bonuses on the credit cards.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. There's a whole planning thing I do. I'm not a big credit card churner. There are people who are just constantly collecting them. I feel like that's their hobby, is collecting the points. It isn't as much about using them. I'm pretty equal, because to me the whole point is to travel, not say, hey, I have a million of these points and miles in
Yeah.
my bank. Um, but uh oops, lost my train of thought.
All
Oh,
right.
think about this every time you have a big expense coming. Um, because the best sign up bonuses these days usually involve spending about $3,000 to $5,000 in the course of 3 months.
Yeah.
And they're hard nosed. I was going to mention another body part. They're very hard nosed about that cutoff date. Now, Chase has been a little generous. I think they say 3 months, but it ends up being like 102 days or something. But Citibank, not so nice.
Hmm.
Um, and things like that. One of the easier cards to get, because there are two banks actually issue cards related to American Airlines. Like the easiest one to get, it's through Barclays. Yeah,
Okay.
Barclays Bank. All you have to do is make one purchase. You go buy pizza for $20 and you're good. You got your 50,000, 60,000, whatever their sign
Wow.
up bonus is. And I don't think they really do big ones, but 50 to 60,000 miles is pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's a pretty good
Yeah,
start. That's pretty nice. Just
that's pretty standard for all of them. I really wouldn't bother doing anything under 50,000
okay.
unless there was some other reason to do it. Because when you're looking at points, you want about the ease of earning and the ease of using. Those are the big two things. And of course, the sign up bonus. But if you know you spend a lot of money at Christmas time, get that card around November 1st. So you've got it by the time Black Friday hits.
Mm,
If you live in Florida and you have to pay a $3,500 homeowner's insurance, once a
yeah.
year, get a new credit card, a month before it's due. Um, I've dental work. That's another good one. It's just funny. It's like these things you think about. Um, oh, I need 2 implants. I'm going through this. I'm actually getting the
Oh, okay.
final stage done, which is $1,500 and could get me to a bonus
Wow.
in early June, right after I come back from Japan. And it's like there's a $2,000 chunk, there's a $1,500 chunk, there's a $500 chunk, and all of these things are scheduled, and you know when they're going to happen, just like when your homeowner's insurance is due. Not that everybody has to be a homeowner, but renter's insurance is really cheap by comparison.
Yeah.
It's not worth kind of like organizing your finances around. But anything that some people have those really big, they have a big car insurance bill every 6 months. You could even do it once for the year if you want, and get it all out of the way. And there you go. You've hit $2, $3, $4,000 right there. So you really only want to get the cards if you know you can hit that amount fairly easily.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you have
well,
websites that you like to go to search for deals or for flights or for credit cards in particular?
credit cards, the number one site for all this stuff, because I'm sure they have affiliate links in them, but I mean, the comments are awesome, because if there's some little trick or they find out some little
Yeah.
detail that can either be a backdoor way to doing something, or hey, I found out this doesn't count, so don't do this.
Right.
Doctorofcredit.com.
Oh,
And
doctorofcredit.com.
from the drop down menus, you can pick like best sign up bonuses, best travel cards, best cashback, whatever you want. Now, do not get into the credit card point game if you are carrying balances, because you want to make sure that these cards do not have good ongoing interest rates. They got pretty lousy ones.
Mm-hmm.
However, some of them that earn usually the points, not the miles, they will give you, they're all doing this interest-free period at the moment for like a year. That, you get those flexible currencies you can
Right.
move around. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the Chase family, and my mother just got, I just talked her into getting the Chase Freedom Flex,
Okay.
because you can move those points you can take it as cash, but you can get more. That one doesn't matter as much. Again, it depends on the family of cards you have, and being able to move them to other accounts that get you more than a penny to the point,
Yeah.
because they've got these other two that are meant for travelers. There's the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which I think right now has an amazing sign up bonus. I think it's like 90,000 points.
Wow, 90,000. Oh my God.
Yeah. And Chase Sapphire Reserve. I have the Reserve. It looks awful because it has a $550 annual fee, but
Ooh.
$300 of it is, I know, but $300 of it you get back once you spend it on travel. And
Really? Oh,
that can
okay.
be Ubers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
So what they
even if
consider
you,
travel is pretty awesome, like parking. You put it in a meter, stuff like that. So
so you have the whole year to use, kind of like get some of that
yeah,
annual fee back then.
yeah, which is, again, it's really easy, especially when you're buying a tour
Yeah.
somewhere, because you can't, um the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal, you can actually buy some, I think they're connected to Viator,
Oh, okay.
if I'm
Okay.
saying that right.
Right,
It occurred to
right.
me. It might be TripAdvisor, but I think it's Viator. So you can actually book experiences using your points. I've done it. I did some expensive stuff in Mexico.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Or you could pay for your hotel, I suppose, too, if you didn't have
yeah,
points
because
to offset the.
most of the hotel programs have such an inflated concept of how many points for a room. So it'll be
Yeah.
like, hey, here's you need 50,000 points to get this room. And most of the transfer is 1-to-1. So this is so not worth it, with
Okay.
the exception of Hyatt. And that's one of the transfer partners for Chase. Hyatt
Oh,
has some
Hyatt.
really good
Okay.
deals.
Hmm.
I had to stay in Cincinnati one night, and it was 8,000 points, which with my Sapphire card is the equivalent of $120. But the room itself was $325.
Wow. Okay. So
So
yeah, that was a good.
there's some really good sweet spots, but even without the sweet spots, they tend to come out to be a really good value, better than 1.5 cents. In that case, it was what, like almost 3 cents.
Yeah, that was.
Um, but like the IHG, which is the Holiday Inn and stuff like that. They've got very inflated points. Their points are only really worth about half a penny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if you think about how much effort you have to put into earning them,
Right.
it's easier just to book them with these points in your membership rewards or your Chase Ultimate Rewards. There's also Citi Thank You points.
Hmm.
I don't think you can get a great value out of those. Most people in the points and miles community, they love the concept of the Capital One program. Nobody can get in.
Oh, okay.
I think they basically look at your history and go, oh, we're not going to make much money off you.
Yeah, we don't want to.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, I guess the way to experiment with that is if you're paying off your credit cards and you're getting close to the end, if you really want that. But like I said, I just don't want to deal with more than one program. I mean, I know US Bank has one and they've got some interesting earning cards, but the serious stuff with the most flexible points are Ultimate Chase and American Express.
That's good to know. And you did
And
bring
they
up
both
a
have those
point
Prima cards.
because it can be a lot to keep track of. I was just going to ask how travelers can stay organized and keep track of their rewards and benefits, but your approach sounds pretty straightforward. Just kind of use one card and put everything on it.
Even if you have like 4 cards, they're in the same program.
Okay.
So all your points are in the same place and you just don't move them unless you have to. And by have to, meaning you're going to use them or you're going to close a credit card, so you have to move them, but you can usually just move them to a different credit card account's little bank of points. When you close a Chase credit card, you have like 30 days to figure out what to do with the points from that card. So you're good.
Okay.
And I just love them because I'm able to get that 1.5 cent value. So, it's
Right.
like $900 flight, 60,000 points. And especially since, most of the hotel cards, there are sweet spots in all the different programs. I'm really not quite that interested in figuring it out. So I stick with Hyatt or just use the points in their conversion at 1.5 cents. But yeah, the biggest part of the strategy is, get these cards. Oh, if you're worried about the way it's going to hit your credit score,
Yeah.
don't apply for credit cards for about 3 months before if you're planning to move, because it takes about 3 months to recover from the hard pull.
Okay.
And in my experience, it's like a 20 to 30 point drop. And it doesn't necessarily stay down for 3 months. It's just that's the longest it'll be.
Okay.
I've had it rebound in 1 month. I've had it in 3. So just to be on the safe side, if you're going to be applying for a mortgage and all that, where they say, 720 is like the gold standard for a mortgage. It's like, as long as your score is above that, you're fine. You get the best rates. I still think the higher it is from that also helps you, but
Yeah.
um, you just don't want to mess with that because that is a long-term financial decision you're making.
Yeah.
Um, so there's that. Don't do anything for at least 3 months beforehand. I did break that rule. It ended up not mattering, but because I didn't know I was going to buy a place. But I did actually. I just didn't know that about it at the time. I opened I think an MX or something, but anyway, it worked out. I keep my credit score really high. Um, so and just know that you can hit that sign up bonus.
Are there other benefits that you get from carrying the credit card that travelers should check into that they might overlook? Because they send you that whole booklet, and a lot of times travelers don't read all the fine print of how
Oh
else the
yeah.
card might benefit them.
Um, I found out, though I'm having a little trouble persuading them, that I don't need to buy travel insurance, especially when you book with European operators. They require it.
Oh, okay.
Um, but when you check with them and say, my credit card that I used to purchase this covers me for this, 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 and this, does that meet the requirements? And they'll say yes, but then they want a policy number and all that stuff. So I'm actually going through that right now to see if I can make that work for me.
Okay.
Um, for Morocco, and I'm probably supposed to do it for Japan too. Well, I've been a little sidetracked by doing my taxes and setting up the new website.
Right, right.
um, but then, okay, so that's the insurance side of things. Um, now, one of my favorite benefits, and apparently it's like $100 to buy, maybe more. I can't remember if it's $100 or £100. Priority pass.
Oh,
You get it. You get it free with some the premium cards,
right.
but only the Chase one. This gets really into it, but it gives you lounge access. But there are some airports that either they couldn't make a lounge arrangement, or this is in addition to having a lounge arrangement because they get kind of crowded at certain
Okay.
times.
Right.
They have restaurants where you get a $28 credit
Wow.
for up to two people on the card. So even if there are more than two of you, you're just going to get your $56 credit, but that may or may not be enough depending on, airport prices. I've been hearing about beers that cost that much in an airport, but
Oh, wow. Yeah, but that's something that travelers may not have been aware of, the food credit. That's kind of nice.
yeah. And if you get a card and you travel a lot, but you don't have that included as a benefit, your break even point comes pretty quickly on that if you decide to buy a priority pass, because um, the lounges are really nice. They have food in them. The
Oh,
restaurants, of course, that's food that you're not paying for that you probably would have,
right.
or it's
Yeah.
better than the food you would have bought. But I don't know, going there and seeing $15 for a sandwich in a fast food place in the airport is a little shocking. Um, so it's like, well, yeah, I wouldn't pay 28. And it's like, you're not going to save much if you didn't. But the lounges, they've got faster Wi-Fi, more comfortable seating. You've got endless, you know, they usually have like beer and wine free. It will vary by the lounge. I've actually been very surprised at how good the food is.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So obviously it pays for itself in like 3 visits, maybe 4.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's 2 round trips. If you make a connection or you get to the airport, 2 hours early,
Yeah.
why not? Don't buy lunch, don't buy dinner. You get it free. Um, Plus it's just really nice not being in the hustle and bustle. It's a lot easier to get an outlet to charge your stuff, or whatever you want to do.
Right, right.
So I'm a huge fan of, if they lost that benefit to the card, I would actually buy it. So um so when I say that card has a $550 fee, you get the 300 straight back in credits off of it. You get, every, what is it, 5 years, you get a lot of cards have this, even the cheaper ones. for getting global entry
Okay.
or TSA pre-check refunded.
Okay.
You may as well get global entry. It's only $15 more. It gets you pre-check.
Okay.
And if I got it because I was so horrified at some of the customs lines I came across, specifically Orlando. I'm like, I'm in line. What's this? I'm usually behind 3 people or something with carts of luggage, and I'm seeing this snake around the entire, going all the way back to immigration of people trying to get through. And I'm like, that's an hour-long line.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I even went up to the global entry guy and I'm like, oh, I've got TSA pre-check. Do you think we could? No. And he was, no, I wasn't too great. But the line is always short. Also, if you happen to cruise, global entry, they usually have a different area for that when you get back into the country. So that's another nice quick thing. Let me see. So all those, I get $60 worth of DoorDash credits. I'm not really
Oh,
a DoorDash person, but you can actually pick up. So you get like $5 a month, which is like pathetic. Like, because at first they let you use the whole thing in one shot if you want to,
okay, right.
but you can build up to 3 months worth. And between that and the coupons that DoorDash gives you, it's like, well,
Okay.
that's a decent amount of food, and for free every
Yeah.
once a quarter or whatever.
Right. That is nice.
So
That's kind of nice.
they've got a whole bunch of. I don't really know what a Lyft Pink Pass is. There are a couple of things like free Instacart
Mm,
membership
yeah.
per year, just some stuff, and credits. And there are people who really like, if you don't really use Instacart, this is how you can use it. I haven't really gotten into all that. If, that could change. I could get curious and bored one day. But there are all these funny little benefits that came along with the pandemic as a way to keep people from leaving the credit card, but they've kept some of those benefits.
Right.
So that's kind of nice.
Are there specific cards you might recommend for someone that has trouble keeping that balance paid off? Because as you mentioned,
Oh,
a lot of these credit cards, the interest rate is just crazy.
yes. If you're a balance carrier, I don't recommend you doing any of this. Instead, this, of course, it can be used for other things, but also on Doctor of Credit, you can see bank account opening bonuses.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And yeah, it's a lot more than a toaster. It's anywhere from $200 to $600 if you open a checking account. Now, usually, and not only that, but they break it down not just into, okay, well, you need to do direct deposit. You need to have X amount direct deposited by a certain time. He also tells you what qualifies and doesn't qualify, which is important as a
That
direct
is.
deposit. So if you are, because my thing is I love being self-employed. So if you're a solopreneur and you take payments through like PayPal, Zelle, all those other payment,
Right. Yeah.
those don't, transfers from those don't count.
Mm.
So um, that is a disadvantage to being self-employed because a lot of people get paid through those
Yeah.
platforms.
Right.
Direct bank transfers, I'm not sure. I don't know if
Interesting.
yeah, like if I paid you, April, direct into your bank account, would that
Yeah.
count? I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I guess if I didn't pay as Katie and I paid as upgrade to extraordinary, it could work.
Right. Right.
But so think about where that income is coming from. And yes, pension and social security and all that, those count.
Okay.
Because I've been doing that for my mom.
Yeah, no, that's good because there's a lot of people that do they want to get started earning, there's better ways to use their money. They want to travel,
Yep.
but they're
So,
maybe new to the whole credit card thing and it can kind of be a little bit scary
yeah.
and overwhelming a little bit, especially when you see that the
So,
cards have a carrying fee and stuff.
well, here's the thing. Yes, it's a pain to change your direct deposit information. Actually, I've got it pretty easy. Hopefully you can do it yourself through your HR portal or something like that. But if you can't, yeah, it's a pain, but you know what? It's a big return on the pain.
Yeah,
That
it sounds like
pain is only like 5 minutes. You hate annoying somebody with something like that, and you don't want to mess with your paycheck or whatever. But it's really 5 minutes of annoying someone,
it.
and it's worth $200 to $600 to do that.
Wow.
That's pretty minimal.
Yeah, that
I
is pretty
mean,
minimal.
I guess the stuff that so what I tend to do is I have two bank accounts, two checking accounts. I have the online one that I've had forever. I really like it. It's like Capital One 360 that used to be ING, that used to be Orange, and all that stuff. Um, Anything that I need to automatically pay comes from that account, so that I don't have to change that stuff around.
Right.
The stuff that I don't automatically pay, uh, which includes anything more than the minimum on a credit card, because it's always good to make sure that you have the minimum automatically set up so you never miss the payment.
Right.
Um, but Sky, your minimum payment is $50. Yeah, but I want to pay it off every month, so I gotta send 500 or whatever it is, and I make it from that account because you don't want the account to look inactive.
Right. Okay.
But that's also where most of your money is coming in. So, and
Right.
you can also, that's another fun thing. All that stuff about you can split your direct deposit from your work into like more than one account. That sounds annoying. I don't have that option. Don't do it if you don't want to, but it is an option. Um, I know one of the big bonuses right now is US Bank.
Interesting.
And yeah, it's tiered depending on how much you are direct depositing, but that's the $600 one. And I think that's if you will get more than $10,000 in direct deposits in the course of 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you're only going to hit just over 5,000 because of the way it's broken out, to get 400. It's not that
That's
hard to hit
that's
that,
not, yeah, that's not too
even
bad.
if you work part time. But it can also depend on how long it takes from when you submit your bank account information to when they will start using that bank account for your deposits.
Right.
Just something to keep an eye on if you think you're going to be a little close and might not make it. Just it would suck to not make it when you go through all that hassle.
Yeah.
Though at least that one, if you screw it up, you just get the lesser tier, so you don't end up with zero.
Yeah.
But I hope I didn't make this all sound so complicated. But usually, the threshold for the getting the bonus, even like a $500 bonus, $400 bonus, is usually lower than 10,000. It's usually somewhere between 1 and 5 in the course of 2 to 3 months, usually.
That's pretty good. Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to hit. And usually you have to keep the account open for 6 months so you don't get penalized. It can also take a while for that money to hit. So sometimes it's a specific date, sometimes it's 6 to 8 weeks after. I usually find it's actually a lot sooner than they say. But in your long-term plan, don't really try to line that up with a particular purchase or trip. You can do this. I mean, there are people who go crazy with it and will do, a dozen accounts a year. I do 2 or 3. And the money is usually earmarked for something specific. Like, okay, that's going to be about $1,000, people. That's a lot of money for just opening bank accounts.
Yeah, that is. Wow.
But
That's pretty good.
yeah, Chase offers them.
Wow.
I Wells Fargo, not a good bank, but the good bonuses. So, don't feel bad.
Wow, this has
um,
been really informative, Katie. And I know you work with people too that are wanting to get out of credit card debt, kind of balance
mhm.
their financial situation. So where can people, what are some of the things you've got upcoming with some of that, and share your website so people can reach out to you?
Well, I've got upgrade to extraordinary. So I'm basically I'm a blogger, but this is where you find the good advice. It's you know, what I recommend for people who are still getting themselves out of credit card debt is if it's not a spending problem you have, which for a lot of people it is. It's like the moment their balance goes down, they bring it back up and they just if you have an addiction to shopping online, it exists. I
Yeah.
had it a lot in my family, actually. Well, my grandmother would have been, but she just ordered stuff off the TV because there was no internet then. But oh man, the piles of boxes that she never opened.
Oh
Anyway,
wow.
yeah. Um, so if you know that your credit card debt is due to a specific reason, like, oh my God, my roof fell in and I had to buy a new roof, and that put me in credit card debt. And that's not your normal way
Right,
of
right.
living. You can handle that when that debt is paid off. But if you're used to having this rolling balance as part of living and dealing with YOLO, FOMO, all that stuff,
Yeah.
then what I recommend is a 6-month gap between paying off your credit cards and then playing these games. By the way, this is not illegal. This is not black hat stuff. I think I came across that term.
Oh, that's a new one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually like the really shady stuff. None of this is shady. None of this is, you're not going to get in trouble. Those bank bonuses usually come with a 1099 for your taxes. It's treated as interest. So bear that in mind. So if you need to plan for that.
Okay.
Not such a big deal if it's one $400 bonus, but if you've got $1,500 worth of bonuses, it could be a little painful at tax time. Taxes. Anyway, so yeah, like a 6-month, fasting from the credit cards to be like, okay, I'm used to well, when I say not using them, let's be realistic. You can't really function without a credit
Yeah,
card.
I know. It's gotten to that
But
point pretty much.
so I think of it as getting down to one card that you pay off every month and don't use it. You just know you don't use it just because, hey, I have a credit card and I've got this limit, so I can do this. That's that's how we all get in trouble because we all do it.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
we're 18, 20, 25, whenever you get your first credit card, it's everybody does it. It's just a matter of when how high does the balance go before you get scared.
Yeah.
I was really lucky. I got scared at 1,000, so I like nipped that in the bud. I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I fight so hard to get 30% off something and now I'm paying it back on the back end. No.
Right.
So I went all miserly with my attitude towards credit cards at a young age.
So you still
But
working with clients if they're interested in there for a while I knew you were doing little workshops and things for people.
yeah, I am putting all kinds of good free stuff out there basically.
Yay.
And it, because I've reorganized how I'm focusing on people who want to manipulate their money to get more travel or more out of their travel.
Yeah,
It
like you
just
said,
basically,
kind of upgrade to
well, I'm
that.
a big fan of, yeah, that upgrade to me is like, if you make $60,000 a year, I want you to feel like you're living $100,000 lifestyle without carrying the balance on your credit cards.
Yes, yes, thank you. So what's your
So
website again, Katie? It's upgradetoextraordinary.com.
yes, it is. And I'm also on Twitter and Instagram. I put goofy stuff on Twitter. You don't have to go. And but Instagram, I'm actually having a lot of fun putting stuff up there.
Nice. And can
You might
people
even see a
find you?
picture of my dog.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And can people find you on Facebook too?
um, I want to say yes and no. I don't think I'm going to be building a community on there. I do have one that I may use once this evolves and I see what people actually want. But I just there's an awful lot of noise on social media.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So if they go to your website, and I know you said right before we got on, you're finishing it up, but hopefully I'll
Yeah.
release this
By the time
episode.
you
Yep.
guys hear all this, it should be good to go.
Yep. So find Katie at upgradetoextraordinary.com. Thank you so much, Katie. This has been a lot of fun as usual.
I just want everybody to get out there, get on a plane, go somewhere weird.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear about your travels when you get back from Japan and Morocco. Wow, these are two
I
big
know.
trips. So,
Well, a friend of mine is turning 50 in September because I normally wouldn't go to Morocco in September because it's like 90 degrees.
yeah.
But she also doesn't handle the heat well, so she and I will find I won't be annoying to her for that. But Japan, I taught English there in the late 90s, and I haven't been back since. And I need to update.
Well, cool. We'll look forward to
Yeah,
hearing about
we're
it,
a cool
Katie.
society.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Sure.